Here we go. It's rolling, right? Is it rolling?
I can't really read it. I can't really read it.
Yeah, that's it. You got it. Okay. Hello, Paul here in Nashville, Tennessee. It is January 29th, 2015. I got my father, Paul, also named Paul, behind the camera. Is going to ask some questions and be part of the dialogue. Come here, Bear. We got Bear here. Can you point down to Bear? Sit, sit. Bear is part of the gardening team. Her job is to get voles and moles and keep the deer out. And she loves catching mice. I think she spent a little too much time with the cat, didn't she? Yeah, you got a brown nose. You got a brown nose.
So, Paul, the first question that's on my mind is, why wood chips? We see a large load of wood chips that have just come in, and would you explain some of your thinking behind it?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're going to use it's called sheet mulch. It's a form of ground cover, basically, and it's what you see in the woods. When you go to a forest, you see layer after layer of mulch, and it gets added to the top every year, and that's what makes soil. And that's what makes all the vermiculture, all of the fungi, you know, the mushroom fungus and the bugs and all the wonderful things that that cause plants to grow and grow well. Now we're in Nashville here, and this is a floodplain. There's a creek behind us, and this is alluvial topsoil here. And you can see the creek is just down by that fence, and this floods maybe once every couple of years. And but over the centuries, it's been in the habit of flooding. So what we're doing is putting the sheet mulch down, and then before this was cut, all the trees were cut here in probably the late 1800s, maybe 1860. And what happened when they were cut is all the soil was basically left, and they would mow it and they'd put animals on it, and the soil has never really been rejuvenated by the proper tree cover that it's supposed to have. So what we're doing is bringing in ground up trees, essentially. This pile behind me was from a local tree job that was just done. It just came in today, and I have a skid steer, and I can spread this in a matter of minutes, and then we'll rake it totally flat. But if you didn't have a piece of equipment like that, you'd need to spread this by hand, and that would take a while. It's not impossible, but it's easier to do it before it all gets wet and so forth. And so what we're doing is we're going to cover the soil. The soil likes to be covered. It doesn't like to be exposed. And so what we're going to do is we're going to spread this out on the garden, and then we're going to plant into it. And then every year I'm going to keep putting more and more down. So we're really just starting out here with the wood chips on this side. I've been using them as side dressing and in between the rows for a few years, so we have a little bit of a base. But we're really going full in with the wood chips. We're going to probably have about 8 inches of wood chips here, and we're going to plant in that.
Paul, would you walk this way and describe where your garden is and what it is?
Sure. My garden.
And where you're going to be spreading it.
Yeah, we're going to spread it. There's about a 10,000-foot area here. I guess a quarter of an acre. And not all of it will be in crop. Some of it will be dormant, and on the edges we're planting trees and perennials, like we're planting pawpaw trees and blueberry bushes, and mulberry. So that'll come in from the edges and sort of encroach on our 10,000 feet. And then in part of that, I'm going to plant a lot of row crops, things like kale, carrots, beets, things that I like to juice and things that I like to eat in salads. Lettuce, of course.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes, yeah, tomatoes are big.
Can I pan for a second?
Yeah.
Do I need you to the left?
Just fine. Tomatoes are a big crop for us. They're not like tomatoes you think of as tomatoes. We grow these really sweet cherry tomatoes, which are more like a grape in flavor, and you can eat a lot of them. You can eat maybe 50 or 100 of them as a meal. Just come out here and eat, and they're incredibly nutritious and amazing, and you get all sorts of great benefits from anything you really eat in the garden, but there's nothing like having it fresh. And so that's what we're going to be growing here in this 10,000 feet. And then we're coming in on the perimeter with all the trees and the blueberries and the raspberries and so forth. And so this area will be pretty much maintenance free when we're done. And we're using a lot of the work by a man named Paul Gauchi, who is in Washington State, right near the Canadian border. And he put out the Back to Eden series videos, and that's how we got excited about this. And it's worked quite well with our blackberry patch over on the other side of the house. And so we're going to keep going and keep doing this. It's a lot less labor and a lot more enjoyment if you don't have to weed and water. And the wood chips do an amazing thing. What they do is they regulate the amount of water in the soil. So in the days where you have too much rain and you'd have puddles, the wood chips will soak them up. And a lot of times the plants can sit on top of the wood chips. And so you have really good drainage. So you tend to have plants that do well in wet weather, and plants that do well in dry weather. They can grow together, and you not have to worry about having too much or too little water. There's a lot less maintenance if it's done well and done right. And it might take us a couple of years to get the hang of this method, where we're really planting in deep chips, and it also takes a while for the chips to catch up and to decompose. A lot of these chips are just the trees that grow in Tennessee, like right down here. You can see the chips. I'll pick up a handful. These white ones here are hackberry, and they break down incredibly quickly. You can already see the black mold spores here, and this is a fungus. It just comes in right away. The wood has a tremendous amount of sugar in it, and that just really breeds fungi and mold. And then that pile there has a bit of a rust color, sort of an orange rust color, and that's mostly Bradford pear, which is an ornamental pear tree that's very popular in Nashville. And it doesn't really have much of a fragrance to it, but it breaks down quite quickly, and so we'll be spreading that tonight, hopefully before the next rain. I'll get that spread out. And we've already done the perimeter here, you can see that, and we'll just be working our way in from the perimeter, and then we'll be ready to plant probably in the next couple of weeks. We'll start putting seeds in for the cold weather crops.
How does it feel for you to be in a kind of unknown territory regarding all of what you're doing here? Is it worrisome, or do you just go ahead?
Well, it really depends on my garden. So, I mean, if my garden failed, I'd really be in a world of hurt, because I get a lot of my nutrition from that, and it really makes a difference. A lot of the food you have in places like Whole Foods and Kroger's, and these are the supermarket chains where we are, the higher end, expensive organic vegetables is what I'm talking about. These foods don't even begin to compare to what comes out of the garden. So, I mean, I'm really dependent on the garden. So I'm going to be getting this going. This is somewhat experimental on a large scale, but I also have a small plot over here, which is more of a tilling type method, which I know will work well. I'll show you. That's over, just over here. You wouldn't get a good look at it, but it's where that shovel's sticking up between us and the house. And so I'll have my essentials there, and that'll be a redundant garden, hopefully. But in the event that this, I don't have enough nitrogen in the soil here in the first year, I have a backup plan, and that is to have that plot there with some carrots and just my basics, my greens, my carrots, my beets, and my chard. So, and probably a couple of tomato plants there as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a cutting edge sort of thing, but we're hopeful and optimistic, and we've seen it work well with our raspberries, but blackberries, but it could take a year or two for the chips to stop soaking in nitrogen and give off nitrogen. So that's sort of what happens. Is the first year we're trying not to mix the soil and the chips, but with the wheels of the skidder and things, that we are mixing a little more than I'd like to. So, but today's a dry day. If I get this spread, at least we'll have this area under good management. But if you mix the chips in the soil, it'll rob the nitrogen from the soil as the chips break down, and that's a bad thing. So
the idea is layering rather than mixing.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, we want to just get this on top, but it's a bit tough with the wet weather we've had. We're going to have a couple of good days here of dry weather, I hope, and we'll be able to get this pile spread. And we've got the tree companies bringing another pile we're going to put just behind my father over there, where that red flag is. So we should have a pretty good covering here, and so but you are at the mercy of all the conditions and so forth. But we'll make the best of it, and we're gonna dedicate this space to this method of gardening, because it's just too much work for one person. I mean, I could hire people to help me, and it would be profitable. I mean, we'd get enough food to make that worthwhile and to pay those expenses. But I think this is a much more profitable way to do it, because it's just going to be the work of very part-time work of myself. My father will help a lot, but we want to spend more of our time enjoying the garden and less of our time weeding and watering, and that's really what this is about. So. And you can watch the Back to Eden video and make a decision yourself. And I'd go part in, and we're going to go part way in on this concept of the layering, and then as it proves itself, we'll wean ourselves off of the conventional type gardening. Okay, we'll wind it up there. Thanks for watching, and we'll let you know how we do as we progress. And like I said, it's January 29th now, and right around mid-February, we'll have a lot of seeds in the ground, and we'll be getting it going here. But I have a sense that spring is really coming early. I'm in bare feet now, and it's just been amazing. Yesterday I was out here without my shirt on, and you really can feel spring coming. It's just really around the corner, if not here already. So thanks for watching. Paul here, over and out.